YouTube, what is good? What is going on with you? It is your girl Kyrie. We're having a reaction festival today. The first thing we're going to react to today is the disgusting downfall of Omegle. Now, for those of you who are new to the community and haven't been one of my day ones, I started on Omegle. Before anything else, I started on Omegle, trolling people with this model. Well, not this specific model, the 1.0. I was trolling people with the 1.0. So, Omegle, for those who have been living under a rock, was a stranger chatting website that became rife with all sorts of people, from creepy certified lover boys to minors that didn't know how to behave themselves. Quite a lot. It was quite crazy. So I kind of want to see where this goes and how do I put it? How it goes through the story, because Omegle has been around a long time. It was recently shut down, and I feel like there is a lot to unpack there. There's also a content warning. This is going to be very graphic. If there are, I know there are minors in my community regardless, but I definitely recommend that you do not watch this if you are under the age of 18.
November of 2023, Omegle, the infamous and massively popular roulette-style video chat site, was shut down by its owner, Leaf K. Brooks, ending its nearly 14-year run.
I'm not gonna lie, and I mean this with the highest respect, that dude looks like he's on good mythical morning.
Under somewhat troubling circumstances. So, what happened? Well, if you're like me, you grew up with Omegle as a teenager and probably ran into your fair share of grown men exposing themselves on the platform. This sort of activity has plagued Omegle since its inception, with many sick adult users intentionally...
Okay. We're just gonna skip that.
The prevalence of this dangerous material on Omegle is what eventually would lead to the platform's demise, with the owner becoming so disillusioned by the chat site that he created that he killed it, feeling as though he had created a monster. And
he kind of did.
And he was getting hit with a bunch of lawsuits. Today, I'll be going through each of Omegle's major criminal controversies in chronological order, telling the story of the sick freaks that got this website taken down. This is the disgusting fall of Omegle.
Yep.
One of Omegle's first high-profile criminal degenerate users was a man named Richard Finkbeiner, a sick individual responsible for one of the most elaborate plots in United States history.
Oh, fuck. It started on Omegle? It started on fucking Omegle. And that is insane. If you haven't read about this dude, it's definitely a horrific true crime case. It really is. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm pretty sure he will. But good God, this dude was insane.
In 2010, Richard Finkbeiner was a 39-year-old man living in Brazil, Indiana. Constantly online, this disgusting man would begin interacting with minors in online video chats, using Omegle along with other platforms, recording his victims throughout.
Am I allowed to say that this guy looks like a pig man, or is that going to get me canceled? That sounds like something that I would be okay saying, but I gotta ask.
These calls. According to the FBI, Finkbeiner, while using Omegle, would stream videos to those that he matched with in an attempt to coerce incoming minors to reciprocate acts in a way. The minors, who thought they were interacting with the person shown in the video, would then be asked by Finkbeiner in text chat to join in, and some would
probably be okay. Okay. Yeah, this was disgusting.
Sadly follow his instructions. When a minor fell for his trap, Finkbeiner would then record their camera footage and add it to his personal collection. And if that wasn't depraved enough for you,
yeah, it was awful.
This guy would often later anonymously contact his victims, revealing to them the fact that he had recorded them participating in those behaviors, almost in a braggadocious manner, like, I gotcha. While performing digital surveillance on his victims, Richard would collect their sensitive personal details, later using that information for blackmail, threatening to release the videos to websites or to send them to the victims' friends, family, and school.
Also, I do want to make a note here. I am going to have to censor a lot of shit. I know I will. This one's going to be heavily edited. But the websites, the NSFW websites he was sending this to, they do not filter whether the act is consensual or not. There are actually a lot of violations and non-consensual videos on there, and the only reason I know is because I've seen quite a few TikToks of people who found their own videos as blackmail.
School teachers, unless these victims continued making explicit content with them, recruiting the minors as digital slaves of sorts,
Yeah, it was bad.
Forced to participate in acts with him while he recorded them for his catalog. According to FBI reports, these acts included coercing them into themselves, forcing them to wear embarrassing outfits, and even forcing them to scribble Finkbeiner's online alias on their body with a permanent marker. Through these elaborate and sickening strategies, Richard was able to collect a multitude of victims, both male and females, whose ages ranged from 12 years old to 17, and were living in 9 different states, including Indiana, West Virginia, Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio, New York, Michigan, Illinois, and Colorado. There was even one case involving a 12-year-old boy with transcripts showcasing the poor kid pleading with Richard and messages to not release his blackmail video to the internet, and the sick man essentially telling the boy tough luck and uploading the stuff anyways. Dude was a psychopath, a monster.
Yeah.
Another incident showing how heartless this guy was involved a teenage girl who was so traumatized after falling victim to Finkbeiner's trap, she attempted, thankfully she would survive. Now, she later sent an email to Finkbeiner stating what she had done, and Finkbeiner would then reply with, "Glad I could help."
Yeah, this guy is fucking disgusting. And, like, he did not give a damn about anybody but himself, but at the same time, like, you know, I've noticed a lot of these people that do this, if they're not, like, in a family, you know, it's not family matters, if you get my point. It's always, like, how do I say this? It's always, like, people that you don't have, like, any love given to them by anyone in their lives. And it's interesting because there's a study that is going on right now with gene testing. There's gene studies showing that predators are born, not made. That is something in the genes that causes that. Something in the very DNA of the person. I don't know how true it is. Scientists are testing it. But it is an interesting study from what I've seen.
Finkbeiner was able to get away with...
And I want to say this very, very quickly. I don't mean interesting as in, oh, I like, you know, studying these people. It's more or less, as somebody who survived stuff like this, it's knowledge for the future and for, you know, understanding. It's knowledge for understanding how these people get so degenerate, but it's also knowledge for understanding better ways to cope, I guess. I'm not justifying it by any means. I don't know how to word it. The tism is tisming very hard and shutting down my brain, but that's basically where I was going with that.
Performing these highly exploitative acts for around 2 years. But extortion reports from some of his later victims, a 14-year-old boy in Maryland and another...
Jesus, that scared me. Hey, Beetlejuice, you scared the fuck out of me.
Another in Michigan would catch the attention of the feds. an investigation, setting up a collaboration between the FBI and sheriff departments from all over the country where the reported crimes were taking place. This included the Oakland County, Michigan Sheriff's Department and the Prince George County's Maryland Department, with significant assistance from the Indiana State Police, the Clay County Sheriff's Department, the Terre Haute Police Department, and the Kokomo Police Department. It was truly a national endeavor. After a third
It's pretty much a multi-state endeavor, yeah. It is pretty bad, yeah.
thorough investigation, authorities were able to trace these sickening crimes back to Richard, and he was
Yo, Kyrie, later when you have time, can you add a redeem for the other model? There is one. It's in the title of the stream. ! Ava.
pinned as the culprit. The monster of Omegle would finally be arrested on April 6th of 2012, with the feds seizing a staggering 22,000 video files from webcam feeds recorded by Finkbeiner, half of which depicted content
22,000. Wow.
from his ventures. The FBI also recovered close to 47,000 downloaded images.
Whoa! Why that dude look familiar? He probably does. 47,000 images. That's horrific.
Many of which depicted. The police would then begin the work in unwrapping his elaborate scheme, which would give Finkbeiner additional charges. In total, Finkbeiner was charged with 10 counts of exploitation of children, 2 counts of extortion, and 1 count of possession of. This charge came from Richard both possessing images from the minors that he had extorted, as well as an entirely different collection.
Or is it just me because the narrator looked like a TV celebrity? Yeah, we don't have follow age. I don't know where he came from. I just saw this video and I was like, yeah, I might as well since I started at this fucking website.
Of files. These are some serious charges, but they don't truly reflect the massive victim pool that Finkbeiner had accumulated. Through reviewing the man's email communications, authorities were able to ascertain that there were at least 153 victims, and only 20 of them had been identified by name and confirmed by the authorities.
Damn. Damn.
Law enforcement would say, quote, "These charges formalize allegations of a systemic scheme to victimize hundreds of children and teenagers all over the country."
Looks kind of like one of the Lawrence brothers. You know, I kind of see it. Yeah, no, they only found and identified an eighth of the victims. That's fucking... Damn.
Thanks to the tireless work of investigators over the last 3 months, we have been able to identify and contact many victims of these alleged acts. This process is ongoing, and we continue to do all we can to offer support after the nightmare they are alleged to have endured. Richard faced a maximum of 30 years in prison for each count of exploitation of children, 2 years for the extortion charges, and a $250,000 fine for each of the charged offenses. In January of 2013, Richard would plead guilty to the charges of exploitation, and the deviant would be sentenced to serve 40 years in prison and was...
Damn, just hearing about this makes me feel disgusting having used Omegle before. I mean, I knew how bad it could get. I didn't know how bad it got. The 1.0 of my model started on Omegle. Like, that's how I got a lot of TikTok and Twitch followers back then. But it was mostly, like, music artists that I would talk to. Hell, there's still a music artist that gave me full permission to use his music in my streams. His name is Snot. He's pretty cool. You should check him out.
Was hit with a $70,000 fine, all coming on June 26th of 2013. It was also determined that after he was done serving his prison sentence, Richard would be forced to serve a lifetime of supervised release. At the time of his case being concluded, it was one of the largest extortion cases in the country. This was the first major case where a criminal used Omegle to facilitate his crime, and it most certainly wouldn't be the last time the site would see foul play.
Thank you for the hydrating daily frenzy.
Now we jump forward about 3 years to 2013 to our next case. It's the story of military serviceman Colin Lowry, a man not guilty for crimes against children, but for someone live on camera, broadcasting the act to an unsuspecting user live on Omegle, that user being still unknown to this day.
Yeah, he does look like a Lawrence brother. Man. I've seen some crazy shit, but I've never seen that.
On October 22nd of 2013, a 22-year-old Nevada Army reservist named Colin Lowry, along with 23-year-old Cherish Pincombe, were hanging out together with one of Colin's roommates named Patrick within Colin's home in Henderson, Nevada. During this chill session, they decided it would be fun to hop on Omegle and talk to some strangers, as one would do back in 2013.
Yep.
But sadly, this would be no routine night on Omegle, as a freak tragedy would begin to unfold the moment that their webcam booted up. According
No fucking way I used to live next to that fucking creep. Oh my god, did you really? Holy shit.
to reports, the story goes as follows. After chatting
That's insane, Beetlejuice.
to a few different people,
I'm so sorry.
Colin and Cherish were matched up with a woman from Norway who, curious about American culture, had asked if the group owned any guns. Colin, a military serviceman, most certainly did,
No, I don't think he's joking.
and would promptly step out of view of the camera, returning after a short while with his rifle and a .45 caliber handgun. He then would begin eagerly showcasing the firearms to the anonymous Omegle user. Now, at some point, Colin is said to leave the area of the Omegle camera setup to go use the bathroom, leaving his guns at the computer, only to return again shortly after. By this point, the Norwegian had left, and another Omegle user is said to have been paired up with them. Now, what happens next is somewhat disputed, as the footage is not available for the public to view, but it's alleged.
Lucky he didn't unalive you. I think he was going to unalive children, is what it was. Nope, not kidding. The dude was so fucking creepy, I would always keep away from him. Yeah, that's the right thing to do! But, I mean, you didn't know, so... You didn't know how bad it actually was. The best thing you could have done was keep away.
Alleged that while resuming showing off his handgun, Colin would raise the pistol to Cherish's head in what could be described as a joking fashion and would pull the trigger, possibly believing that it wasn't loaded. The gun would discharge Cherish in the head, causing the woman to go limp. She was critically injured and the show was broadcasted live to an anonymous viewer.
It's always fucked up. These people do really fucking dumb shit.
Or early morning this occurred. At around 8:30 a.m., Colin Lowry would call 911 and report that a gun had been accidentally discharged within his home. Cherish Pincombe would be taken to the Sunrise Hospital, where she would later sadly from the injuries that she had sustained.
I remember this because I always wonder why so many cops were in my neighborhood. Ads. JK, thank you, Twitch.
In the shooting. When questioned by the police, Colin would admit that he had been drinking alcohol, but stated that he had no idea that the handgun was loaded, trying to plead the case of this whole thing being nothing more than a freak accident. Considering the apparent negligence at play, police felt this to be more than just a mistake and arrested Colin for he would insist that it wasn't his fault, even reportedly claiming that Cherish had loaded the weapon while he was in the bathroom. An interesting twist if true. However,
Bruh, you probably have had it loaded for God knows how long. I crashed? No, I'm here. But no, knowing that people with firearms normally keep their weapons loaded, especially in bad neighborhoods, you probably had it loaded from days prior and didn't even know. Like, as somebody who keeps a pew-pew around and always keeps it loaded because I have a bad neighborhood, I can tell you that it is not a good idea to, one, handle pew-pews while you're intoxicated, and two, have it loaded when somebody asks about it. You always double check. I have to protect myself, so I always keep one in the head. But I know I keep one in the head. And I always keep it in a room where I know that nobody's gonna mess with it. That was weird. You looked like you crashed on my end until I saw you moving on the main screen. I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't move as much when I'm reacting because I'm listening to what is being said. So maybe the model froze for a second.
Investigators pushed back, stating that Colin had likely taken the weapon to the bathroom with him, inserting the magazine and loading it in there. Yeah, if you haven't picked up on it, the cops believe that Colin had straight up this woman in cold blood like it was premeditated. In fact, they went as far as insinuating this whole situation was much more than accidental manslaughter. It was some sort of methodical thrill, with Colin booting up Omegle with the intention of slaying his friend live on camera. That's what they thought. Now, it's to note that
as a person with a small pew-pew license, I can only have up to 9mm. I always keep it loaded but on safe. So yeah, I'll never make jokes with it and never take it with me, as it is a home defense weapon. So, how do I say this and avoid TOS? I have a clock 17. I'm going to call it a clocker. I have a clocker 17. It does not have a safety. Okay? It is my personal defense. Good morning, Orion. The clocker 17 is my personal defense. And I keep it with me because our neighborhood is really bad. Like, every other person you know is on that Walter White shit. All my pew-pews are loaded, but out of reach of tiny ones. I don't have any tiny ones. We're talking about pew-pews, Orion. And we're reacting to some graphic content today, so I'm just giving you fair warning. But I take mine with me because if Kuro and I go out, I don't want anybody coming up to us tweaking. I am very protective, and I will defend myself if needed, but I know how to use it wisely. If you have a pew-pew, you're never fucking... If you're intoxicated, keep it in a separate room. If you have little ones, like Beetlejuice does, keep it out of reach. My neighborhood is okay, but there's been a break-in or two recently. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to say a small firearm. It's not small. That's the thing. It's not small. I have a clocker 17. But it doesn't have safety. And I know that. And because of that, I make sure that I am very cautious with this. So announce myself before walking up to you. No, it just... If I see you of obvious signs of snorting the Walter White stuff, and you come up to me, and you try to attack me, I'm going to defend myself. I always keep one in the head. You got a clocker 18? Okay. You could just say that you have the protection of a pew-pew. I mean, yeah, but... I don't know how much I can get away with saying. So. Oh, wait. It's not a clocker 17. It's a clocker 27. Still bad. Like, because it has no safety. But I know how to handle my PPs. Kuro's supposed to take me to a range so he can learn how to fire it. I have it in a cabinet next to my bed that no one besides my husband knows I have. I got 2 in the head. Oh. Damn. Drum mags. Oh, okay. You can get away with saying firearm. Okay. Well, I have a firearm. I have a sidearm, really. But yeah, I try to, handle firearms wisely, is what I'm trying to say. Even if, they don't have safety. Like, it sits in the streaming room on my Xbox just in case somebody comes in, because my Xbox is right next to my streaming room is right next to the back door, and it looks like the front door because it's, like, in the driveway. And so, like, if somebody breaks in, I can easily grab it within the time they try to finagle the door. Only because I'm in the middle of 2 gang hoods. No, I understand. After an overnight shift at the Easy Mart, back before I was streaming full time, right as I got in the door, they were spinning my block. This became a firearm yapping session. I promise I will go back to the video. But no, I understand. This is a gang hood too. People were spinning my block, like right as I was getting in the door from an overnight shift. I get that. Like, people were pewing up the street and back down. They were doing a full sweep. So I understand, Beetlejuice.
There were no other witnesses within the room when these occurred. Colin's roommate was apparently no longer around when this transpired. The cops had to get their hands on the Omegle footage, as it likely held the truth of what actually took place that evening.
Can't be caught off guard pooping. Yeah, exactly. Rest in peace to the people who passed, yes.
Police subpoenaed the Portland, Oregon-based website Omegle for footage of the to possibly attain some sort of evidence to confirm their suspicions. They would receive some snapshots from Omegle, but it was only the chat portion of the website. These conversations, including some messages from Lowry, Pincombe, and the person that they were matched with. Sadly, though, it appears footage had not been archived by Omegle. But what about the other person on the other end of the video chat? Couldn't they speak to what had happened? Sadly, due to the anonymous nature of Omegle, this person has never been identified, and investigators were unable to ascertain any IP or metadata that could lead them in the right direction in regard to finding the enigmatic witness of the Omegle. If someone was watching their screen at the time, it's very likely that they are keeping that gruesome moment with them to the grave, as no one has ever come forward. The snapshots recovered by the cops would unfortunately reveal very little, and it was a dead end barking up that tree. Colin's case would have to move forward without any video evidence and approached with a more traditional forensic style. After his arrest, Colin's bail would be set at $200,000, and investigators checked the magazine for Cherish's fingerprints to see if Colin's story had checked out. They would find that the physical evidence didn't show any of Cherish's fingerprints on the magazine. Something else interesting to think about here, Colin Lowry was a trained staff sergeant in the military reserve. He had many years of weapons training, apparently weapons training that he decided to just randomly forego on that day and act like a fool. I'm not trying to say that I know for a fact that Colin had a actual, inclination of Cherish, but it is unusual for someone in the military to handle a gun this irresponsibly. There was reason for police to be suspicious. Later, Colin Lowry's roommates testified that Cherish and Colin, along with everyone else in the house, had a playful relationship with one another. Duffy, one of the other roommates, would even tell the court that he had not once ever seen Lowry get angry at Cherish. Colin Lowry's attorney would use this to argue that his client should be tried for manslaughter and not straight up murder. Quote, "I heard no evidence whatsoever of premeditation, and I heard no evidence whatsoever of malice."
At least he got a lesser charge, but that's still really irresponsible,
the lawyer said. The judge would disagree and ordered that Colin should be tried on an open charge.
Oh, I was wrong.
In August of 2014, Colin would cut a deal with prosecutors and pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter with a weapon. And on October 24th of 2014, Colin...
To think I almost served in the same unit as him. Oh, damn. Did you really?
Lowry would be sentenced to 8 to 20 years in prison. During sentencing, Colin would apologize to Cherish's family within the court.
I'm pretty sure people who sub ran out that day or the day prior get one stream with no ads. Maybe. We gotta see if the other mods... I know not all the mods are subbed, so we gotta see.
Courtroom.
Awaken.
Saying he had never meant to hurt anybody. It seems his words fell on deaf ears, though, as family members of the slain victim were quoted as calling Colin a cold-blooded.
Thankfully, I ended up serving with Vampire. Hell yeah.
It's somewhat unsettling to think that there is someone out there who may have watched this take place live on Omegle and just has gone about their life with that horrific scene burned into their brain. Whoever you are...
Why y'all going to Popo Place?
I hope you're doing well, and perhaps one day, come forward. Let's talk.
Why the fuck is Vampire going to Popo Place? What do you mean? What do you mean? He was talking about military. What do you mean? Why is Vampire going to Popo Place? They were talking about serving in the military. What do you mean, sheep? Please tell me you were joking. I thought he meant Popo Place. Oh, no! The military! I'm sorry. You had me so concerned, sheep. They're talking about military because the pew pewer was a staff sergeant in the military as well. Beetlejuice and Vampire were in the same military unit. You had yourself concerned. Man, you had me concerned!
Sadly, not
I was about to go yell at Vampire. No, Beetlejuice!
long after the shooting incident, another child exploitation case would come forward, involving a man named Dennis Witt, who would challenge
Bro looks like Boogie before the weight gain.
underage girls on Omegle to a sick game in an effort to fulfill his twisted fantasies. Beginning in late 2013 and early 2014, 40-year-old Dennis Witt of Marina, California, would begin participating in behavior that went beyond degeneracy, with the man frequenting websites like Omegle, pretending to be a 16-year-old boy named Lucas. Using this
That's disgusting.
fake persona, he would interact with underage girls, never showing his face. During these chats, the 40-year-old fraud would quickly get acting.
Thank you for the lurk, Beetlejuice.
As Lucas, he devised the game in which young girls would gain points for participating in lewd behavior. For example, girls could receive a point for taking off a piece of their clothing, or would receive more points by performing outright acts. A criminal complaint describes his activity. 3 girls began to play a game whereby they would do things on camera to earn points. Tasks began with things like waving and blowing kisses, but progressed to showing Lucas their unquote. Dennis groomed these girls on Omegle and also on his Skype account that went by the username VampireGod, and his
Believe it or not, people still do that. That is way more disgusting than something people think. I do believe it. I do believe it. I've seen some shit on Skype, and it's really gross. I've seen some. Believe it or not, Kick Messenger is still just as bad, bro. It's essentially the same. I've met some really evil people on there. I'm not gonna go into detail about it because that's something I kind of want to not think about. Is, you know, my own experiences. I knew well enough to stay away. Kick, you don't want to know what Kick is.
His profile picture was a skull and crossbones. The guy is like a modern-day Camden Gerard Davis, but white and 40 years old.
Camden Gerard Davis is... Please don't tell me you believe what Mama Max says, because I will end this video right now. What is Kick Messenger? It was like Omegle, but it also kind of leaned into like Discord, where it had groups based on different themes and topics. It used to have its own browser too that had like little games you could play on it. But now it's just full of thoughts. I don't believe him. I know, this dumbass, if this dumbass believes what Mama Max said, I'm going to be pissed. Please don't tell me you're a Mama Max supporter, because I will cut this video off right now. Fucking hate Mama Max.
Now, what's truly sickening about Dennis in particular in the context of this video is the ages of the people that he victimized. The age range of his victims went from 16 all the way down to 7 years old.
It's
Just
so
some
nasty.
really unspeakable crimes here. I say this with all
Nasty.
seriousness. There are actual monsters that walk the earth, and I don't know how you could have any sympathy for someone like this, but it's just disgusting. The conversations with these 4 particular underage victims, who were all from Jefferson County, New York, began in May of 2013, according to the criminal complaint. It stated that during these interactions, Dennis recorded the girls 48 times between July 25th of 2013 and
48 videos and 20 image files.
September 16th of 2013. The oldest one at 16.
If you support Mama Max, you get Mama Max banned in game. Yeah, exactly. We don't support Plagued Moth or Mama Max here. I'm just letting y'all know. Vampire.
Under Discretion Vampire says, ha hi and no sheep. I'm not gonna po place.
18 years old would communicate with Whit daily, with the others being communicated with far less frequently. While Dennis performed these abhorrent acts with the children, it would not be long before the authorities got tipped off, as one of the fathers of the 4 underage victims from Jefferson County, New York, would find about the activities and alert the proper authorities and channels.
Good.
The FBI, when alerted to this, would team up with the Silicon Valley Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, a group that specializes in targeting people who produce and distribute online. Together, they were able to find Dennis's Gmail, AOL account, and Skype account, and were able to backtrace these accounts, finding his IP.
Bruh, that's the SCP Foundation logo. Why are you showing the SCP Foundation logo? Y'all watch about the dude who lived 2 doors down from Juice WRLD? No, we haven't yet. Oh, yes, Beetlejuice. My bad. Yes, we did. Why do you have the SCP Foundation logo as stock footage? That's really funny.
Address, which gave them his real-life location. The FBI then executed a search warrant, and on April 30th of 2014, authorities would storm into Dennis Witt's house in Marina, California, where they would confirm that Dennis was in fact Lucas, and they arrested the man and escorted him outside in handcuffs. In a darkly hilarious moment, the pathetic Dennis would be photographed in handcuffs wearing a "Wanted Dead or Alive" t-shirt. Looks like the fat degenerate slob really dressed up for the occasion. What you expect from some fucking loser that goes by Vampire God on the internet and
You knew about that? Did you Juice ever live near or not? He told you when you served. I don't know. I mean, they live near each other now, I assume.
children. While in Dennis's house, authorities would search through his computers and find 48 video files and 20 image files consisting of some of these videos were over an hour long. There was also content containing other children found on the internet as well. In total, a catalog of over 10,000.
Whoa! I lived in the county over. Okay. 10,000 video and image files.
Videos and image files were looked through. After his arrest, Dennis would admit to the officers that he had captured the videos of the underage girls and saved them to a folder titled My Girls. Now, this guy is a true piece of work, ain't he? Dennis Witt would later be extradited to New York to face trial. He would plead guilty in November of 2014, and on April 8th, 2015, Dennis would be sentenced to 60 years in federal prison on 7 counts of exploiting children. When released from prison, Dennis must be put on supervised release for life and will be required to register as a offender. From what I can find, there was an attempt to appeal.
I need a shower and acid after hearing this. Me too, and I just took a shower today.
The sentencing, but it was denied. Thank God. Let's take a breather. Now we enter an era of relative peace. Let's do a bit of an Omegle history lesson. Now, thankfully for the next several years, Omegle would be free from major criminal events. Yeah, old men still went on there to broadcast themselves off, but for the most part, things were quiet on the site. People were using it as it was intended, to have fun and talk to strangers and make, unique friendships with people from across the world, as was the intention of the site's creator, Leif K. Brooks.
Hey, yo, what the fuck? What do you mean?
Leif had single-handedly developed Omegle while living at his parents' house when he was just 18 years old. He wanted to connect people from around the world in video form at random, a novel concept for the time. The 18-year-old just wanted people to have fun and communicate anonymously online. Talk to strangers, as was the slogan of the website. Launched in 2009, his creation was an instant hit, and Omegle would become established as a permanent part of internet culture in short time. A mainstay of web-based chatting visited by millions of people from around the world since. After all, Omegle's premise and what it wasn't.
Yeah, no. Vampire, I don't know if you know this, but I started on Omegle, so yeah, it was pretty prevalent.
Intended for was actually quite remarkable for the time. I mean, real-time video chatting on a web browser back in 2009 was kind of a big deal. Like, I personally remember hopping on Omegle with some buddies and ending up matching with some other teenagers our age somewhere else in the US and becoming friends with these.
Kyrie, no, you poor innocent soul. I was trolling people with my 1.0 model, yeah. It was rough. People do that on VR chat now, like, what the fuck? You know, that's how my ex met his poly partner. For those who are unaware, I was cheated on in a poly relationship. Was it on stream? Oh, I never streamed it. This was before I was streaming. This was just me testing VTuber models and stuff. I never streamed Omegle. Trust, I never did. Now, I have met some really good music artists through Omegle. And I gave them shout outs on TikTok a while back. So, yeah. Wait, you were poly, or you didn't know you were in a poly relationship? I was poly. Poly means that you consensually, between both parties, have multiple partners. Polyamorous. The only problem was that my ex said he was bi, but I'm not gonna lie, once he got this poly partner, he was already neglecting me, but he completely just isolated from me. Refused to get off of VR chat because he would have VR chat interactions with this person. And
Oh my god!
yeah, and after I broke up with him, I kind of pilfered through his old Discord. Mind you, this was my high school sweetheart, and we dated off and on for 7 years. How do you cheat in poly? I'll explain. I'm explaining now. But after I broke up with him, because I wanted to go home and I was tired of not, he wasn't teaching me how to drive and he was making me walk to find jobs. But he was driving his partner around. The way he cheated was that I found out that he and the partner wanted to get rid of me. They didn't want me in the picture except for my money, which they had already blown. And then when I was looking for another job, they refused to help me, so I would have to walk miles and miles to go apply places. So yeah, I went home. I went back to Texas. Yeah. So that was how he cheated. I didn't find out until after I broke up with him that he was planning to get rid of me and start like a guy harem in his house. And before y'all get on to me, I am not somebody that erases bi people. I'm pansexual. But the dude could have, essentially, yeah. The dude could have just said he was gay. Like, he wasn't really bi. I feel like him dating a girl was to put on a facade for his family, because South Carolina is extremely conservative. And I've dated people that were actually bi. I'm not erasing bi people by saying this, but he probably was just genuinely gay. If he had said that, cool. We probably would have not had such a fucking bad fallout. Carrying the pans. It's okay. The joke, I've heard the joke hundreds of times. But yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I didn't find out until after the breakup that he was planning to get rid of me and was cheating on me, essentially. He was going behind my back. So yeah.
Guys, you might exchange Xbox gamer tags and play Call of Duty together.
Good thing you found the homie. I am really glad I found Kuro. I love Kuro to death.
Even keeping in touch with them for years at a time. When used correctly, Omegle could be a great way to make connections and friendships from the comfort of your own home. Sadly, though, Leaf's vision for a connected
Kyrie pansexual. What you think of this one? This non-stick cast iron skillet. Oh, that's a sexy pan right there.
internet would become tainted by those with abusive tendencies. Predators began taking advantage of the accessibility of his platform and used it as a tool to victimize the many children that regularly visited it. This was a fact that hurt Leaf on a personal level, as he himself is a self-admitted survivor of childhood. Though despite the misuse of his creation, the vast majority of people were using Omegle to make friends and simply to chat. Leaf saw no reason to shut down the site completely and spoil the fun for everyone because of the actions of a few. This would be a stance that would prove increasingly difficult to maintain as more time passed and more predators emerged.
Yeah.
Now, moving
Every 5 seconds, the vid is being cut. I'm responding to chat.
a bit forward on our timeline, we look at an Omegle abuse case from 2019. A particularly egregious one in that the perpetrator of this crime was in fact an officer of the law, a seemingly trustworthy member of society. 30-year-old Simeon Smith from Chesterfield, Virginia worked as a police officer within the city, beginning his occupation with the department in May of 2017. On the surface, Simeon was unlike any upstart officer, a seemingly clean-cut man, eager and filled with an almost naive enthusiasm for upholding the law and protecting the community. But his disposition was nothing more than a facade, as beneath the surface this guy was nothing more than a sick freak with a badge. On March 18, 2019, just before noon, 30-year-old Simeon Smith was apparently feeling aroused and would take to Omegle, looking for both women and young girls to talk to. It seems age mattered little.
I don't know when, but sometime this year, possibly a vampire will be gracing Texas with his face. Ah! Vampire, you're coming to visit! Oh, that would be awesome! That would be awesome. We could play Cards Against Humanity and shit. That would be fun. We'll try to keep the alcohol to a minimum. Kuro doesn't really drink, it's just me. But even then, I have to cut back because of GERD. But I will try to make sure that there's nothing that would worry you about sobriety. I bet bro was thinking, I'm one of the law, it don't matter because it won't be arrested. He is a sick man. Man. He is. You're fine. Thank you.
Officer Simeon Smith would eventually be matched up with an account claiming to be a 14-year-old teenage girl named Crystal. At the beginning of their lengthy and scandalous conversation, Simeon asked for the girl's age, to which she said she
Vampire could be on stream. I have his model. I could do it. We could put Vampire on stream for a little bit.
was 14. He then allegedly responded with 30 male Richmond. Is that okay? The conversation led by Simeon then escalated to a nature, with Simeon asking the minor, quote, tell me how old you were the first time you did anything, unquote. Simeon pushed the sexual agenda in this conversation, with Crystal reportedly not reciprocating. The chat log ends with Simeon saying, quote, oh, and you asked where we would do it? Ideally on your bed. But if that's too risky, I'll rent a room at a hotel, unquote.
Might hide your pants, but other than that, you're fine. Oh my god. Oh god. The fact that he fucking went there and she wasn't even reciprocating. Like, it's bad enough that she's a minor, but, like, even if she were an adult. Okay, let's put this into context. Say this was a different person. Okay? And say they were 20-something. Okay? If that person is not reciprocating, then you should stop. But as soon as they say they are a minor, you should stop. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Gonna grab a drink. Be right back. Alright, Pingu. Husband is in the shower. I'm gonna shower. BRB. Understood.
Quote. Yeah, that's a policeman stating explicitly where and how he would like to have with someone who he thinks is a 14-year-old girl. Now, thankfully, what you must know is that there wasn't actually a real 14-year-old girl here. It was an undercover cop. Yes, the police, likely not realizing it at the time, had one of their own on the hook. In an effort to confidently identify who they were chatting with, the Crystal account would ask for the creep's social media, which led them to a Snapchat. Simeon would send Crystal a photo of himself, giving the undercover officers more evidence in regard to busting this at-large creep. During this investigation, the Hanover Police Department collaborated with members of the Southern Virginia Internet Crimes Against Children FBI Child Exploitation Task Force, which included
Damn, baited by your own people, but good for them. Yeah, that is true. That is true. fucking good for them. Should have gotten this creep locked up.
Officers from around the state of Virginia and the FBI and Homeland Security. This massive collection of law enforcement entities would hone in on Simeon, and they were able to link the IP address with Simeon's North Chesterfield home, a house that he actually lived in.
Imagine getting baited by your friend's big fucking skill issue. It was a skill issue that he was attracted to minors to begin with
His wife. The creep cop had been found and would be stung. Simeon would be arrested on March 22nd of 2019 and charged in Hanover County with 3 felony counts of use of a communication system to facilitate certain offenses involving children. Many items would be seized from his home, including Asus and Samsung laptops, 7 thumb drives, a CD, a yellow shirt, Sony and Nikon cameras, an external hard drive, and a ThinkPad laptop. Law enforcement likely eager to pry into these devices. He would be held without bond. The head of the Chesterfield Police Department would put out a statement while they were in the process of terminating Simeon's employment. Quote,
emotional damage is right. Just to add on to the cake, but he deserved every lick he got.
I am both disturbed and disgusted by the actions alleged, and I want to say clearly and unequivocally that there is no place for such conduct by anyone in our agency, in our profession, or frankly, in our community. In August of 2019, Simeon would plead guilty to 1 felony charge, while the other 2 were dropped, and on September 24th of 2019, Simeon was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but would have 8 years suspended along with 10 years of probation.
Oh, I hate this bitch. I hate this bitch. I hate this bitch. Oh, I hate her. I hate her. She did this on TikTok and Omegle. She murdered fur babies.
Victory screech!
Victory for arresting that officer, yes. But, oh, I hate her. I hate Crystal. I hate her. I hate her. God. She's so fucking evil. This bitch is evil. I knocked over my plate. Sorry. Let me take care of that right quick. Damn, chill, Kyrie, chill. No, I hate her.
Now we move forward to 2020 in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Around this time, Omegle saw a rise in popularity as millions of lonesome people on lockdown sought to interact with others. With a vastly increased user base, this also meant more opportunity for crime to take place on Omegle. And that's what we find in the early 2020s in general. Omegle just becomes rife with degeneracy. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The major 2020 case in my eyes is the case of Crystal Scott. It's a bizarre situation involving a degenerate sadist responsible for...
I meant chill, knocking stuff over. I know! I forgot the plate was on the chair. But nah, I fucking hate this bitch.
A hideous animal and was only caught thanks to the concern of the online and furry community. In late April of 2020, when most were dealing with social distancing and lockdowns, folks from all walks of life flocked to Omegle, and one community that raised eyebrows in particular were the furries. Furries, thanks to their wacky animal costumes, were often pretty humorous to come across on the site, and many would enjoy interacting with them. The already isolated furries took to Omegle en masse during the pandemic, where they could discuss their love for the fandom, entertain others, and in some cases, just provide some wholesome cringe. But it wasn't all fun and games for the furry.
Furry community unite!
In the midst of the COVID malaise, a furry browsing Omegle would come across a harrowing spectacle after being matched with an anonymous user. This camera feed showcased an anonymous woman that appeared to be wearing a mask made out of a freshly animal hide, and they were holding a miniature, bloody and fleshy looking animal skull. These animal parts seemed like they had been procured from a recently animal, according to the user. The frightened furry snapped some photos of the scene and shared it to the web, thinking that the parts used in the individual's costume may have been from a freshly slain household pet. More sightings of this mysterious figure would be reported in short time, with all who encountered...
Let me just keep in mind, she was also doing this on TikTok. She wasn't doing this on Omegle alone. She was doing it on TikTok too.
entered the account feeling extremely disturbed. This story was initially contained within the furry community, as it was apparently a furry who had found the anonymous user first, and the report would cause quite a bit of concern for the furries. As they did their best to investigate the anonymous woman from Omegle further, they found troubling hashtags associated with the grisly user. Hashtag furries, hashtag furry fandom, and most importantly, hashtag fursuit. Creating a fursuit out of animals slain for the purpose of creating a costume is unsurprisingly frowned upon within the furry community, and as far as I'm aware of, it is most likely illegal in most places, at least in the sense of using like cats and dogs, which appeared to be what was going on here. Did Omegle have an animal slaying fursuit maker on its hands? It wouldn't be long before these collective incidents would go viral, and many on Reddit would post about it. The thread would go as far as to allege that the woman on Omegle burned and skinned cats, and they had some compelling evidence to back this up. In the Reddit thread, an Omegle user would share an image that they had snapped of the mysterious woman while browsing Omegle, and this gruesome image was that of her holding a skinned cat's head, with the musculature and eyeballs still attached. It's really disgusting, and viewer discretion is highly advised if you go about seeking this photo out for yourself. But yeah, the cat looked like it was recently, and with this—
Fuck that person. Yeah, exactly. Fucking hate her. I hate her.
it became more likely that people really were dealing with some sort of Omegle cat. The public's interest in this case rose, as now not was just the furry community looking into it, the broader internet was as well. A TikTok account allegedly created by the crazy cat Omegle woman was discovered with a description describing herself as a French taxidermist. Other accounts allegedly operated by the user would post taunting messages to those trying to track the Omegle cat down, such as "good luck to all" and "happy hunting." She even claimed to have actively infiltrated Discord groups that had been created to hunt her down. It seemed like this was nothing more than a game to this person. Animal is no joke, however, and nobody found her sick antics entertaining. I mean, it's like she was trying to turn this into some kind of fucking ARG, but she's animals to facilitate that, allegedly. Why do this? One TikTok post allegedly written by the cat elaborates on their motive as to why. Quote, "Because I'm tired of degenerate brats and people who think that they are better than those. I was once by my boyfriend. I want to put fear in others, even if I..." Okay, so let me get this straight. So apparently she got and went Joker mode, deciding to get a revenge on her abuser by striking fear into random strangers online with animals. You know therapy exists, right? Like you can literally just get counseling. Now this crazy cat lady seemed to be so confident in her anonymity and believing that she wouldn't get caught that she actually published her schedule to her TikTok as to when she would be going live on Omegle. So you can clearly kind of see here that this is like a give me attention kind of thing. Law enforcement really needed to step in like yesterday. The case had become quite the spectacle in the online world, and its notoriety would urge people to pressure law enforcement to get involved, with cyber sleuths sending calls and emails regarding the Omegle cat to police agencies across the US. But turns out cops wouldn't be necessary in unmasking this psychopathic animal. Finally, after weeks and weeks of non-stop clue hunting and putting the dots together, the most dedicated of amateur online investigators pieced together the puzzle. Picking up the crumbs of evidence left by the Omegle woman, they were finally able to identify her. It was 19-year-old Crystal Scott from Kokomo, Indiana. She was the woman behind the gruesome Omegle streams. Now law enforcement got involved and would uncover the extent of the Omegle cretin's degeneracy. On May 3rd of
Let's go back to this. I will check it tomorrow.
2020, Kokomo police would search 19-year-old Crystal Scott's home in Indiana. There, they would seize multiple deceased animals and body parts, including 2 cats in her freezer and a glass jar filled with an unidentified animal. Crystal had claimed that these animals were when she found them.
Thank you for the follow. Oh, they were dead when she found them. What the fuck?
Hey, partner.
There's no way. There's no way.
Sadly, though, local police were not able to charge Crystal during this first visit, and the raid was falsely reported on by local authorities who called Crystal a hoax artist. Apparently, the police needed more evidence that she was harming or the animals found dead on her property. And that evidence would come. A bit over a month later, on June 26th of 2020, another complaint
She was into content. Fuck you. You fucking bitch.
of animal cruelty would be submitted to law enforcement regarding Crystal, where a man believed that a pregnant cat that he had given to Crystal had been possibly by her. With this, finally, the FBI stepped in, and in July of 2020, Crystal was arrested on charges of animal crushing. The Omegle cat had finally been put in handcuffs. At the time of her arrest, Crystal Scott was facing up to 7 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. She accepted a plea deal on November 10th of 2021 where she pled guilty to the 2 charges of animal and was sentenced to serve 30 months in prison and 5 years of supervised release. And it's very likely that those creatures that were shown on camera were ones that she had. You have to give a nod to the furry community for blowing this story up in the initial stages and getting the ball rolling in regards to putting this monster in
It should not have gotten a plea deal. No, it shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have.
a cage where she belongs. Now we get to our final headline story in the chronology of criminal activity on Omegle. It's the last major case before the site's official shutdown. It involves an Omegle predator hunter of sorts busting an online creep by the name of Matthew Manoski. On June 4th of 2023, YouTuber Nico is Cold would upload the first of his catching creeps on Omegle videos. In this series, Nico would employ a young-looking adult woman that pretended to be underage in an effort to catch older men flirting or interacting with them, under the assumption that the grown woman was a minor. He's trying to catch basically using an adult posing as a minor. One of these creeps discovered by Nico and his team would be a man going by the name of Mike, who during the conversation would be told that the girl on camera was 16. Despite this, Mike would ask the young girl to take her sweatpants off, after which Nico would reveal himself, making the creep known that he had been caught in 4K. While indeed creepy, nothing overtly criminal had been caught in Nico's video. But it was the comments section under Nico's video that was far more interesting in terms of spelling out who Mike really was. Curiously though, the day that Nico uploaded this video, the YouTuber would receive a plethora of comments from random internet users, expressing how they too had had uncomfortable run-ins with this Mike fellow on Omegle, insinuating that he was a serial Omegle sex pest of sorts that targeted the underaged. A comment says, "Guys, please read this. I have met one of the creeps on here. So a few weeks ago, I was 14.
Over 300,000 people.
I'm 15 now. But the one who was named Mike at 5 minutes 16 was always on the tag board. And I remember the first time I saw him was traumatizing. Back then, I tried to be nice like everyone, and well, that was a bad idea. He kept calling me cute and pretty repeatedly asked me if I thought he was attractive, to which my reply was that I thought he looked like a dad, and he just laughed. I wanted this guy to be exposed so much, so I asked him questions. He has a job and a wife and obviously his 16-year-old kid. I skipped him when he told me he had a for like underwear and wanted to know what color mine were. Before I skipped him, however, I told him in the chat that he was and to get off Omegle.
Yeah.
But I saw him again a week ago. It was traumatizing, so I skipped. I wanted him to get caught so badly, but thank you so much, Nico, for catching him. I really hoped this would happen. I'm still scared to get on Omegle nowadays."
Welcome back. We're talking about a major creep that got caught on a YouTube channel.
And mostly do it with friends, but the fact that over 300,000 people saw his face, I'm so happy. Thank you, I can sleep well tonight. Edit, I forgot to mention his age is 53. I made him tell me for the first appearance I had with him. Merely a few weeks later, Nico would meet Mike again in his second edition of Catching Creeps on Omegle. In this video, Mike would run away once more after Nico appeared on camera.
No.
Yeah, buddy, you're done again, pal. Yo, this fucking guy, bro.
Later, it would be revealed that Mike was actually caught flirting on another YouTuber's Omegle creep busting channel called Ashley Guggs. He was seen in a video called Thirst Trapping Predators on Omegle, uploaded on June 8th of 2022. And this was published a whole year before Nico's first exposed video came out. So he had been recklessly flirting for a while, allegedly. In this Ashley video, Mike would say that his age was 52 years old and that he was a kinky, dirty, perverted old man. Ashley would then attempt to bait Mike and say that she was only 15, to which Mike replied, quote, "This is where the fun begins." But apparently he realized he was being set up and dipped out. Mike likely thought that his run-ins with the Omegle predator hunters would have little impact on his life.
Nope.
Sure, he got ridiculed by a few YouTubers, but at least he was
Yeah, you're not getting away that easy, buddy.
staying out of a jail cell. At least these guys weren't cops, right? Well, the continuous pattern of this guy showing up in Omegle predator videos would...
I did check to the link, and it goes to YouTube channel. Yeah, I know. I checked it. I'll check it tomorrow. Like, I'll watch the video tomorrow. I'm probably gonna do it off stream. But, yeah, it's legit.
Would catch up to him and have catastrophic repercussions on Mike's family and his work career, and his appearances in these videos would lead to him being suspected by actual law enforcement and put behind bars. As stated by Nico is Cold on August 17th of 2023, Mike's son would get into contact with Nico, apparently revealing to Nico that Mike's real name wasn't Mike at all, and that his real name was actually Matthew Manowski.
On August 17th, 2023, Mike's son messaged me on Instagram, and as it turns out, Mike had been lying about his identity the whole time. His real name was Matthew.
The son would explain to Nico that his videos had been sent to his stepmom, or Matthew's wife, and that the couple was in the process of getting a divorce. The son apparently expressed to Nico, though, that he hoped the videos could be taken down due to the embarrassment that he and his family were receiving.
Mom at the time saw the video, and now they are in the middle of a divorce. My whole family knows, and it's just been not good recently. I know it's your job, but if you could do something about the video, removing it would be the best option for me and my family. People at my school know about it, and I don't want to go back to school and get made fun of for it.
While this is happening, family members of Matt are getting in touch with Nico as well, as the videos had gotten on their radar and they were looking into the situation.
The guy that you guys caught twice in your Omegle videos is quite literally my second cousin. My dad got sent this video today, and I've been digging into this more for him before we take action.
And then an alleged detective from a police department in Matt's local area would contact Nico, revealing that Matt was a part of a separate investigation, like he was already being looked into.
Identifying a subject in one of your catch and creep
Snitched out by your own son and his own cousin.
on Omegle videos, and that subject is a part of a separate investigation. I believe your video would be beneficial to my investigation.
Now get this. In Nico's video, he would reveal that Matt was telling his family members that he was a paid actor and that this was some sort of collaboration with Nico. Like, dude was trying to say he was in on Nico's videos. Naturally, when these family members reached out, Nico would tell them that this was a complete fucking lie. Becoming more desperate to save his reputation, later Matt would somehow find Nico's phone number and was able to get in touch with the YouTuber to plead his case. Nico recorded the call.
I know that my son has reached out to you, and I appreciate you taking the time to
Oh, bro.
actually listen to what he has to say.
I just wanted to talk and just see what's like going on.
With multiple reports and video appearances, the FBI did actually get involved with Matt. It would be revealed that Matt was from Valparaiso, Indiana, and the underage predator allegations surrounding him were spreading like wildfire in the community. People around the city would give tips to the FBI, which led to Matthew's arrest on October 6th of 2023, due to the separate investigation mentioned previously. Turns out he was allegedly doing more than just flirting with minors on Omegle.
He was doing shit on the inside, too.
One count of child where it was disclosed that the 53-year-old Matthew Manowski was being accused of a young...
Man, I feel sick to my stomach. I gotta go for a bit. Yeah, no, you're not obligated to stay. This is hard to stomach, and I understand. I'm so sorry. Take your time. If you gotta leave, you gotta leave. I understand.
Girl multiple times, starting when she was 9 years old up until she was 11 years old. These alleged crimes took place from December of 2020 to July of 2023. In Nico's video, he would reveal that the girl was allegedly up to 2 times a week within the girl's house.
As somebody who's been through this shit, I hope that girl is getting help. I hope that girl is getting help.
household while the family was there. One such incident allegedly happening while they were all sitting at a table and she was sitting in Matt's lap. Matthew received one felony charge of child molestation. It was also reported that Matthew was a football coach as well. Pretty unsettling. It said that before the police were involved and Matthew was confronted about his allegations, he said, quote, "If I ever did anything she didn't like, she should have told me to stop." The YouTuber would also reveal that Omegle had ceased operations 1 month after Matthew's arrest. And Nico speculated that Matthew's arrest, along with the media attention around it, had a lot to do with the shutdown.
Yeah.
The case of Matthew Manoski would be the final major criminal case to come out of Omegle, as the website would be officially shut down by Leaf in November of 2023, with Leaf himself stating in his own farewell address on the website that his decision was very much influenced by the abundance of child that had come to occupy his website over the years. It's truly sad what happened to Omegle, a place created by an enthusiastic 18-year-old programmer living in his mom's house who just wanted people to connect and have fun on the internet, only to slowly become corrupted over the years by the dregs of society, co-opted and
It's not your fault, bro. You didn't know it was going to get this bad.
filed to a place that could only be browsed if using extreme caution. While Leaf states in his farewell address that his decision to shut down Omegle was motivated by his disgust of predators, there may have also been an additional factor. According to a report from ABC News, the shutdown was the result of a lawsuit. A suit filed back in 2021 against Leaf and Omegle from a victim who claimed Omegle matched her with a predator when she was just 11 years old, and this girl alleged that the match resulted in her being, according to ABC.
Yeah, this content is not for the faint of heart. Most of the content we're going to get in today isn't.
News, the attorney representing the victim claims the Omegle shutdown was the result of mediation between the platform and their client. Whatever the case, Omegle is gone. That being said, there are many other Omegle-like websites still around, like Chat Roulette, and random webcam-based chat sites are certainly not going anywhere. They're a staple of the internet. However, if today's timeline has taught you anything, use these platforms with caution. And if you have kids that are using them, some extremely careful supervision.
Yeah, no, you should not be browsing these websites. You really shouldn't.
Certainly wouldn't hurt. And well, you made it to the end of the timeline. That was the disgusting fall of Omegle. Let me know what you guys thought about the video.
Yeah, no. I did put up a warning twice so people are aware of the type of content you were watching. This is true. I'm so sorry if that made anyone sick to their stomach. We did give warnings beforehand. It is a very disgusting... It's sad because Omegle was very innovative, but the people that chose to use it were disgusting as hell. We have to remember that these kinds of people will fuck you up. Please exercise caution while browsing the internet. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Please like it if you like it. Please dislike it if you dislike it. Did you guys ever use Omegle, and what were your thoughts? I genuinely want to know. Totally fine. I don't mind a little vent session in the comments. I understand. Just know that you are not alone, and that you should exercise caution while browsing the internet. Please, if you've ever gone through any sort of similar situations, please reach out to either supporting adults, or if you are given a therapist, please talk to your therapist about these things. Therapy does help. So, I understand. I can see a lot of people disliking the video because of the content. I don't care. It needs to be addressed. It's something that needs to be addressed. And plus, we've covered other true crime related stuff on this channel. So, I'm not afraid of that. But yeah, YouTube, I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.